giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast. And here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Well, this episode, I think we're going to hit some nerves. This episode comes, again, from that conference this past fall. Seriously, if you've got questions you want answered or you want showcased on the podcast, just send me a DM or come see me in person at an upcoming conference. I'm going to be doing some really cool things in 2025, and I cannot wait to be in person with a travel advisor just like you, where we get to talk all things travel business. But this question comes from Myranda, and Myranda, thank you. I know you are speaking on behalf of so many other travel advisors when you say this, because I hear it. And so her question was, I understand organic posts are best, but how do you find time to post organically? So let's talk about what that means, organic post versus non-organic post. So an organic post is original. Let's just say that. It is an original post. It does not necessarily mean that you are posting right there, that minute, that moment. It can be pre-scheduled. But what it's not is something everybody else is doing. It's not taking somebody else's caption and photo and putting it up there. It's not letting somebody else post on your behalf where they're sending out to thousands upon thousands of travel advisors, all within the span of 15 minutes, all saying the exact same caption, all using the exact same photo. It's creating fresh content. And so I get this. And don't get me wrong. In some ways, I consider myself a hypocrite, full out. The week that I'm recording this, I have yet to put something on my socials. And yet I know that I need to do that. So the moment I am done recording this, I am going to quickly record a video and put it up. But what I'm going to push back on a little bit is we need to reevaluate our time. Because so often we spend all of our time going, I don't have time. Like, I just don't have time. And there's particularly, I think of a conversation of somebody inside of a networking group that I'm a part of, a mastermind, and they say, I don't have time to post the way this coach says to. Like, this is ridiculous. I just don't have time and I'm feeling too much pressure. And in fairness, my first thought was the amount of time you just spent complaining in the chat group is the time that you need to do this. See, I think sometimes what happens when we start talking social media, when we start talking marketing, we somehow think it is this ginormous, grandiose, oh my goodness, we have to be perfect. We have to have the post that's going to go viral. We have to have the number one thing that everybody is going to remember till the end of time, that we have to have this everything be perfect. And the reality is, it's just not. If you tried to make a viral video, I promise you it's probably not going to go viral. Like 99.999% sure it's not going to go viral. Viral takes something interesting, but instead, what if you just got out there? I've seen a lot of coaches, let us help you plan your social media calendar for the year in 2 hours, or take this workshop and you'll have all, like, forget it. You know, for so many, that is the most overwhelming thought. It sounds great. Perfect. I'm going to have a whole year in 2 hours. Fantastic. But what it is they're going to give you you're going to create, like, this is all the different things you're going to do. They still didn't create anything. And it's still sitting there, or it's all stock. So here's the scoop. We need to reevaluate how we spend our time. If you have 5 minutes in your day, forget it. If you have 3 minutes in your day, you have time to post. I want you to record a 60-second video. I want you to take 90 seconds to write a caption that goes with it. And I want you to take 30 seconds to think about what it is you're going to record ahead of time. This is face to camera. Just do it. It's not about perfection. It's not about anything. But I want you to think back. What is a question you've heard this week? What is something that you learned this week that you were like, I was this many days old when I learned this? What is it? Is it a change in how a government is doing something, in a regulation? Is it a change in what you can bring into a country? Did it increase? Did it decrease? Has it adjusted? We've got all different sorts of things going on all the time. Maybe it's a new ship that's coming out into a region that you love to sell. Maybe it is a cruise line you love to sell and they're releasing a brand new ship. Whatever it is, pick one thing. I kind of going back to that time again, I hear travel advisors, I don't have time, but yet when I ask them, how did you spend your week? They did 7 webinars. Stop it. If you're not getting enough information out of 1, possibly 2 a week, then we need to reevaluate what you're doing with your business. And maybe we need to go all the way back to the basics. See, the other thing when we're trying to come up with all of this content is we're trying to satisfy the masses. Instead, I want you to just think about one person. But I also want you to unplug. And I know that this is that whole counterintuitive. You've got to slow down to speed up. In fact, this episode, along with 2 dozen others, I wrote with no Wi-Fi on a cruise ship when I was on vacation. And yes, I get it. I had the luxury of being on a vacation. Now, my brain works in such a way that the moment I try to slow down, that sucker races into full gear. And it's here's all these ideas. Why? Because I'm not trying to do it. And even on a coaching call I did recently, the person said, I'm not doing any marketing. And I said, then stop trying to do marketing. Instead, think of one thing. And maybe it's when you're going for a walk. Maybe go walk the dog, go for a run. And I say go for a run kind of laughing, but at the same time, move your body. For me, something that has dramatically unlocked my creativity is I realized I had stopped baking. And I know that in so many ways, I have a friend, she's like, I bake by calling a bakery. That's a lot of work to dial them. And I said to her, clearly I'm not of that skill or talent level, but I said, it taps my creative bones. It taps my creativity, and it gets those juices flying, because otherwise that was part of my problem for the longest time, is I was so creatively stuck. But there's so much possible content out there, and yet we're trying to give too much. We're trying to tell too much, or worse yet, we don't think it's important enough. I can't tell you how often I post something that I think nobody's even going to pay attention to. And lo and behold, that's the one that people take off with. I have podcast episodes that I've recorded that I've almost deleted because I thought they were terrible. And yet those are the ones that I get the most DMs, the most emails, the most conversations when I see somebody in person. They're like, oh, that was my favorite episode. And I kind of chuckle every time. And yet the episodes that I'm like, OMG, this one's gonna nail it. And I get 0. To the point I'm like, hello, is this thing on? Did I not release it? Did I forget to put it out? Did I forget to actually publish it? Hello? And so it's one of those things that we have to stop overthinking. And in fact, the more you stop overthinking and instead start taking action, the easier it becomes to post. The easier it becomes to start to do things on the ongoing. So what are those questions you're getting from your clients? What do you wish your clients knew before they even called you? What do you wish you could just tell them? The other thing is when you give content, you don't just do it once. You want to put that out over and over and over and over again. So now, how do you find content? First and foremost, you've got to know what you want to sell. If it's not what you want to sell, don't put it out there. It's really and truly that simple. Is it cruises? Is it adventure? If I said to you, tell me 5 dream vacations that you would love to plan. Like if 5 calls back to back came in and they were the coolest trips you could ever imagine planning, what would they be? Let's go through that. And in fact, I'm going to really encourage you to journal that. Write it out. Tell me, what are they? Are they ocean cruises? What cruise line? What itinerary? How long? What time of year? Who is it you're selling it to? Is it a river cruise? Perfect. Is it a Christmas market? Is it Danube? Is it the Rhine? Is it the Mekong? What is it? Where is it? Like, there's so many different sorts of things. If it's an African safari, what part of Africa? What are they looking for? What kind of hotels are you booking? What kind of experiences are you putting in there? Put it all down, write it out. Because one, it gets you excited. And when you're excited, it totally changes the energy. One, nobody wants to be pitched to. Two, nobody wants to be sold to. And three, travel is a freaking exciting industry. And if the person on the other side's like, yeah, so I have this trip to Vegas, and if you want it, it's $299 per person, nobody's going to buy that. But if you're like, OMG, okay, I just did this tour of Vegas and we got to go on the racetrack in Ferraris. And I tell you, there is nothing like hearing the roar of a Ferrari go zipping on by at the same time as a fighter jet's flying over top. Like, that is a testosterone. Oh, it was awesome. And I can help hook you up with that. You know, like, there's just paint the picture, tell the story. Yes, those were Vegas. No, I don't love Vegas personally. However, I did love that experience. I loved going there that day. And if somebody wanted to do Vegas, I would know how to do it. But if I don't want to sell Vegas, I ain't going to market Vegas. I would talk about a river cruise. I would talk about what it's like to do a Christmas market. I would talk about whatever it is that I want to sell. Make your 5 trips, design them, map them out, and then tell the stories that are going to get other people excited about those. Know who it is that you want to sell to. Again, it might not be who you think it is. I know for myself in 25, I'm getting away from the traditional ideal client avatar factor. And instead, let's actually talk about what it is you want to sell. Like, not necessarily to who, but let's start with the what's first. Then we'll work it back to the who's. Now, don't get me wrong. When I am doing things, when I am recording podcasts, when I am recording, or when I'm writing my book that I'm working on, I know exactly which advisor I'm talking to. Like this episode here, Myranda, you're the one that submitted the question, and I am 100% talking to you, but I am also talking to every other travel advisor who's ever thought the way Miranda's thought, who's ever asked the same question, either internally or externally. Exactly, how the bleep do I find the time to do this? I know that there are a lot of travel advisors, and possibly you're one of them, that is working a second job. Or maybe travel's feeling like a second job if you're going to have to start marketing and all of that. What have you learned recently? Maybe you did do a tourism board webinar. Maybe you got an email from one of them and it had something super cool in there. You know, did you know that the cherry blossom season in Japan runs from here to here, but that you could go and see the blossoms of the apple orchards or whatever it is in this other part, or whatever that story is? I saw a clip earlier that was talking about the fact that the Azore Islands has a lot of a similarity to Hawaii. I saw that on a reel earlier today, and that really kind of captured my attention. I was like, well, that's cool. So they kind of dub it like Europe's Hawaii. What have you learned that you could share with them? One of my favorite ones was always after I did the Cook Islands Tourism Board, that they had 2 bus routes. They had the clockwise and the counterclockwise, and that no building could ever be taller than a coconut tree. And I just thought that was kind of cool. And it became something that wasn't a sales pitch, but definitely increased the curiosity. Definitely made people go, wait, where's that? Tell me more. See, you want to just give them a little bit of a tease so that they're like, tell me some more. What have you been working on? What have you been working on for your clients? What kind of destinations have you been working on? Why did you choose that? Yeah, why did you choose that for your clients? When should you be booking it, or how far out is best? Because again, if you want to talk about sending your clients to the Cook Islands and you get somebody that's like, hey, so do you have something to the Cook Islands going next week? Well, depending where you are in the world, that's probably not a legitimate type of trip to do. So, in which case, when you're talking about the Cook Islands, depending where you're living, depending on seasonality, and of course, they have their own weather systems and other such that make certain times a year better than others. So, what do the clients need to know about that? If they're looking to go and experience a very specific event, perhaps um, Mardi Gras New Orleans, how far out do they need to be booking for that? What about in Rio? What do they need to know about Carnival? Like, what are the things that they need to know in order to book it? So, where does your content need to go? Or sorry, your content needs to go where those clients are hanging out. If you want to talk to a specific person, you've got to put that content where people just like them are going to find it. Start where you best understand it. So again, there's this whole concept of how many places do I need to post? Well, get consistent posting in one. Then you can start posting in another. Know where that ideal client or that type of a client is going to hang out. Like if you are wanting to do Disney trips or something that's very family based, where most likely are those people that are going to be the decision makers hanging out? If you're talking primarily to the parents, good chance they're hanging out on Instagram, probably Facebook, maybe TikTok. It all depends. But don't look at it and go, OMG, I've got to do TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and I've got to do all the things, and I've got to do that. No, start with the one you know. Get consistent. Just one platform over and over and over again. Get consistent. Once you have that as a well-oiled machine, now we're going to add in the second one. And then once that's moving along like a well-oiled machine, then you can add in the third one. I think the biggest problem is so often we look at it and we start thinking, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. I personally know that there is a good possibility, nothing's ever a guarantee in life, but a good possibility that I could dramatically increase my following if I was doing Pinterest. Here's the problem. I personally don't use Pinterest, partly out of fear of how many lost hours I would have in a day or a week. So I genuinely try to avoid Pinterest. So based on that, I have zero personal knowledge of what it looks like. That being said, I've recently bought a Pinterest course that I'm going to dedicate, most likely over the holidays here, some time to genuinely learning and understanding. Well, I also understand that in order to use Pinterest, I need to have other content to link it to. So, with the fact that I have this course, I'm not immediately jumping into it and being like, oh my goodness, we're going to do this. And blah, 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 blah. No, I have a timeline for learning and comprehending it. I have a timeline for testing it. And then we're not even until like Q2 of 25 where we will be full out in it. And that's only if I decide I still have the bandwidth for it. But if I went in and I'm like, okay, so we need to do TikTok, we need to do the podcast, we need to do blogging, we need to do Facebook, we need to do Instagram, we need to do Pinterest, and we need to do it all today. Well, frankly, I'd need a nap and probably a Valium because it's just not an option. It's not an option at the current moment. What is an option is making sure that I get out this podcast, making sure that I am on my socials. I am on Instagram. And in fairness, most of my Instagram posts post to Facebook automatically. Why? Because I get it. I would get further reach if I posted on Instagram at a different day and time than when I posted on Facebook. But in the short term, I am committing to showing up. So yes, I auto post from Instagram to Facebook. There's a few times that I don't do that. But generally speaking, I do that so that I show up. because it's not about being perfect. It's not about having the best algorithm. It's not about having the best this or that or whatever it is. It's about being there and showing up. This podcast has dropped every single week for a year and a half. And we've recently crossed over 50,000 downloads. It took us a year and a half to get the first 2,000 downloads. And in the last year and a half, not even last year and a half, last year, 14 months, I think it is, we grew by 45,000 downloads. Like it took almost 2 years to get to 5,000. And in 14 months, we grew another 45,000. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens by consistently showing up. It happens by showing up and putting in the work. Now, is there ways I could improve it? 100%. Is there more posts I could do on social media? 100%. But I now have the podcast where it's consistently going up. And in fact, coming off of the cruise, I have had the privilege of being able to bulk the episodes. If you were following along in the fall there, we did some raw from the road because I was not ahead of the game. And now my goal going forward is that we will be, because it's a complete game changer when you have it ready. But if you don't have the bandwidth to have the future of it all done, just get today done. You know, I talk to travel advisors and say, I can't post on social media. And so we'll talk it through and we'll get them a post. And they're like, okay, but then what do I do about tomorrow? I said, don't worry about tomorrow until today is posted. Because if you're worried about tomorrow, you're never going to get through today. We have to do today. We have to post today before we can worry about tomorrow. And you have to post tomorrow before you can worry about the next day. And you sure as heck need to get this week posted before you worry about next month or next year. It's great to have these ideas for how you're going to post for months in advance. But it's even better to post today, to get it done, and to make sure it's going to mean something. So again, how do you create content? You're going to make it for one specific person. I've said this before. Today's episode is for Myranda and anybody else who is just like Myranda. Maybe that's you. I'm going to bet if you're still listening at 22 minutes in, it is you. You want to make posts. You want to make content, podcasts, blogs, whatever your medium is that's going to resonate with one person. Because when you have that connection with one person, other people are going to listen in. Other people are going to check it out. Make it in the style that's best for your desired platform. If your go-to platform is Instagram, then start with an Instagram. Start with what that looks like. It's never going to be perfect, so stop trying. Again, in a recent coaching call, somebody said to me, I'm so overwhelmed by Canva. I can't post on social media because I just don't understand Canva. I said, then toss Canva. Don't use Canva. And she looked at me, she goes, how do I make a post? And I said, you turn your phone around, you look at it, you hit video, and you start recording. And you record 60 seconds. You're going to tell them about the reason that they would want to start their river cruise in Amsterdam versus Budapest, why they would want to do this versus that, whatever it is. We all don't like the way we look on camera. We don't like the way we sound. We don't like any of that. If that's you, get over it. That's how we all feel for the most part. Man, not to assume everybody, because there are some people that are like, don't I look fly? Don't I look good? I love my voice. Most of us were somehow raised with some form of baggage where we either have body issues, we don't think this, we don't think I grew up in an era where you were to be seen and not heard. So to use my voice is a really big deal. I thought for years that I hated my voice, and yet other people say you have like the most amazing voice for podcasting. Sort of like you have a voice for radio. Just kidding. But the thing is that we all have things that make us self-conscious. I'm going to tell you the fastest and easiest way to get over video is to do live. Because the thing is when you do a live, there's no takebacks. You don't get to go back and say, I said way too many times. I said like way too many times. All of these things. And the more you do it, the more you repeat it, the more you do it over and over and over and over again, the easier it gets. I am telling you that you've got to do it live that way, because if you are doing it where you can go back and edit and critique and do all of these things, you're going to do it over and over and over and over again. You will not get better because you're not posting it. See, here's the thing. When you do something live and you post it and it's out there and you just did it all in one thing, you'll find out the world doesn't end. Will you find a troll? Very possibly. Trolls don't have anything better to do. But here's the thing. Beyond a possible troll who has zero power if you don't give it to them. By the way, you do own that block and delete button. Feel free to use it at full capacity. But you need to get out there, because when you do that, your confidence will come. Confidence isn't just something that happens. It comes from doing things over and over and over again, and the sky not falling, the world not ending. You've got to get out there. Authenticity is king or queen, or however you want to look at it. But authenticity is where it's at. I'm not talking about the pretend authenticity where you're like, oh, I'm good. Oh my goodness. I am going to be the most authentic I have ever been. No, you're not. I know that the moment you tell people you're authentic, nothing coming out of your mouth is authentic. I love that when people meet me in person, and yes, it still like shocks me every time people say, they're like, I'm such a fan, or I know you, or I love you, or whatever. That I forget that I do this. I forget that I make these podcasts and that people actually listen. Yes, we have 50,000 downloads. There's part of my brain that just assumes there's some computer bot that's downloading it or whatever, because when actual real human beings come up and tell me about the podcast, I am always in awe. And it is so exciting every time, and yet shocking all at the same time. But the thing is that the one compliment that I hold the dearest is when they say you're just like your podcast in real. I remember in Toronto, and I probably told this story just because I really adore this story. But when I was sitting at lunch and the one girl said to me, or the one woman said to me, you know, if you've ever listened to an artist on Spotify and you like them, but you go to their concert, you just love them because they're who they actually sound like that's who they are. She goes, that's how you are. Like, to listen to your podcast, I really liked you, but now to have met you in person and see that that's who you are, like, it's just amazing. And I love that. Now, I did also tell her it's because I don't have the energy to be two people. That takes a lot of work. And I am also going to tell you, when you don't have the energy to do social media, I want you to ask yourself, is that because you think you have to be somebody else? I'm not going to lie. Some of my videos, I look a little bit like a hot mess, and I'm okay with that because it's about the message. And if people want to critique the way I look, if they want to critique the way I do whatever I do, that's on them, because my message is about what it is that they need to know. It's about what you need to know. Could I have done this episode in shorter time? Could I have done this episode with better this, better that? For certain. But that's not what this episode's about. This episode isn't about how tight we can make it, but rather, how can we empower you to take action? How can we help you to show up? Again, going back to authenticity, I'm going to link up a couple of different social media people that I personally follow. And the reason why I follow them is because they're not perfect. They tell their story. They share their life. The one is, I think her name's Dr. Beach Gem. or that's like her handle. I'm going to put that in there. She really took off during the hurricanes because she is a pediatric emergency room doctor, and she talked a lot about what it meant through the hurricanes. And I've been following her off and on for a long time. Another one that I just adore is Katie Van Slyke. She has social media feed, and it's all about her horses, her ranch, her mini farm, all of these sorts of things. I fully admit I am a country girl, but now I am not alone because there was like 3 point whatever million people that follow her, and all she does is live her life. She's showing you about her horses. She's showing you about her mini donkeys, her mini cows, whatever it is. Spilled Milk Mama. When I first started following her, she was just under 10,000 followers. She's now well over 100,000. I actually haven't looked in a long time to see what she's at. But she went through her grief journey. She had lost her husband when her second child was only 6 weeks old. She is now remarried and has a third child. And Robin Shaw, she is a comic that if you saw like the 2020 goals list, when she kind of had her little bit of a meltdown of when she found her goals list, I have been following her ever since then. And she just cracks me up. And I promise you, there is nothing perfect about her. And yet I deliberately look at my Instagram feed to see if she's posted something new because I know, I know she's going to make me happy. I know she's going to make me laugh, or at the very least, even if she doesn't make me laugh, she's going to make me feel something. And it is because of her and her goals list that I am genuinely writing up my goals list this year. It's because of Robin Shaw and her goals list that I am genuinely working on mine. And I am going to put it on the back of the door in my office. And if you follow her, you will know why. But it's just this idea that when you build a community of positivity around you, amazing things happen. And that's what she's built. That's what she's doing. That's what she's focused on. And it's just sharing about her life, about her journey, about her business. And it doesn't have all of these other things. Trust me, go check out her feed. You will discover that perfection is not required. And so are you going to be looking to do things that are totally off the wall and hilarious and this, that, the other, if what you're wanting to sell is a very calm and luxury experience? Probably not. But at the same time, you are the main product you're selling. It's not the cruise line. It's not all of these other things. You are the ultimate product because they can book anything on their own. They really and truly can. The service they're buying is you. So what does that look like? What will they need to know? What do they need to experience in order to be able to work with you? Okay, that's where we're going to leave it for this episode. Until next time, happy selling. And by all means, please send me a DM when you start doing your posting. I would love to hear from you. Come hang out with me on Art of Selling Travel on Instagram or Facebook. I would love to see you there. And again, if you're not already a part of our free Facebook community, come on over, check that out. I'm going to link all of these things up in the show notes for you. And until next time, happy selling.